What is up, everyone? Welcome to the semi-finals Euro 2024 Best Players video. My name is Ryan from the Football Chatbox. Hope you are doing well. Um, Before we start, I'm gonna just put this out. This video should probably help you regardless of whether you have a wildcard or you don't have a wildcard. Now, when picking the players, I think the best solution maybe to go would be to try and go for a balanced view. You have two options. You can go for a balanced set of numbers per team, where you go 4, 4, 4, and then 3 from one final team. And that means in the worst case scenario, you probably end up with 4 players and 3 players from one team. So you end up with 7 players, worst case scenario, in the final. Unless obviously they receive red cards, then yeah, it's a problem. But you get 5 free transfers ahead of the final. So with 7 players and another 5 free transfers, you should be able to get 11 players out for the final. And you only need 11 players out for the final. The other option you could go is you could heavily favor one team. Where you could, for example, I have 3, 4, 5 Spanish players. You could go 5 Spanish players from one team, or 5 players from one team, 4 from another, and then 3 from the other 2 teams. For example, I've got 5 Spanish players, 4 English, 3 Dutch, and 3 French. I'm expecting Spain to probably beat France in this case, best case scenario, and England to beat Netherlands. That's like the best case scenario for me, for my team. Worst case scenario, I end up with France winning and Netherlands winning, and I have only 6 players for the final, and then I can use my 5 free transfers, exactly 5 free transfers, to get another 5 players in and get a starting 11 for the final. So those are the 2 methods that you could probably look at. Having said all of that, let's look at each of these fixtures, so each of the teams. And personally, I still think between France versus Spain, I do think Spain are the favorites to edge, but it's a very close game between 2 teams. France's defense has been solid, absolutely solid, and Spain's attack has been really good as well. So it's a great attack against a great defense. We'll see what happens with that. Will France click? We haven't seen them click all tournaments, so we'll wait and see with regards to that. So that's why I favored the French defense over the Spanish attack, as you can see, for example, but I still have the likes of Mbappe. And then between England versus Netherlands, I actually think there's a bit more 50-50. I still don't think England have clicked. However, Shaw is back, so we'll talk about him as well, which should help. The Dutch are unpredictable, which is a problem. You never know whether they're going to put in a good performance or a bad performance. That's the one situation there, which is why I'm thinking it's a more 50-50 game in that specific situation. So let's start with Spain, who are right now at least the favorites in terms of at least the best played, the team that's playing the best football right now in this tournament. So we'll start with Spain. Now, for me, I'm going to go with Spanish attackers. I like the ability that they could probably score goals. They're the only team that I can go and say, all right, they will score a couple of goals. So I'm going for, first up front in the forward spot, I'm going for Lamine Yamal. He's done really well, 3 assists this entire tournament. Will he get a goal eventually and be one of the, I think, very few teenagers to have scored in the Euros? I don't know if he's going to be the first. I have to check and see. But done really well this tournament. I'm going for him up front. In midfield for Spain, I do like Dani Olmo. Now, obviously, Pedri is out for the rest of the tournament. We'll get to know whether Dani Olmo will start. If he does start, I do like him as an option. He's got an assist previously against Albania, scored a goal against Georgia coming off the bench, and obviously came off the bench and got an assist and a goal in that man of the match display against Germany. So he is in for me. Nico Williams is another player who's in for me. Will have attacking threat regardless of the amount of minutes he will eventually end up playing, but he will have attacking threat, and I'm going to get him in. And between Fabian Ruiz and Rodri, I've gone for Rodri purely if this goes to extra time and 120 minutes and all. I can see maybe Rodri slightly edging it over Fabian Ruiz. The other reason I've gone for Rodri is, I don't know if this is just me from watching like Premier League and City, he just tends to find like a clutch goal from somewhere. Like, this guy just has a knack for finding a goal in a big game. So I've gone for Rodri. That's just like my punty pick. But Ruiz also, I should mention, is not a bad choice, to be honest. He's a really good option. In defense, I think obviously Carvajal is now suspended, so that's something to keep an eye out for. But Cucurella is in there for me just purely because of ball recoveries. 26 ball recoveries. If he does well, if for some reason they keep a clean sheet, 0-0, right? France versus Spain, 0-0, until and goes all the way to penalties. Not a bad choice of player to have. For those of you who are struggling with budget, now Spain have the one thing with Spain is they're missing defenders. Key players have been suspended for this game. However, they, there's no more yellow card accumulation, so you don't have to worry with regards to like Rodri, who's having 3 yellow cards. He's not going to get suspended if he gets another yellow card. He won't get suspended for the final, so that you don't have to worry about that. But for Spain, in terms of defenders, there is a possibility that Vivian could potentially see some minutes as a 4 million Spanish defender because Lenomad is injured. Carvajal is sorry, Lenomad is suspended. Carvajal is suspended. Nacho is a doubt. So there is a chance Vivian could be featuring. Keep that in mind. One to kind of watch out for. Obviously, we'll get the Spanish lineup before the deadline, and you can make your decisions as well with regards to that. Those are the midfield, forwards, and defenders that I would look from Spain. And obviously, in goal, Unai Simon is not a bad option. I've got him in just purely as like a differential. So I've got 1 Spanish defender and 2 French, just in case, it goes like 0-0 and they keep like all the way to 0-0 in 120 minutes and they go to penalties. Just for that sake, I've got Simon in. Although I do not mind the French goalkeeper as well. And let's go to the French. So Mangaren is also not a bad choice for anyone who's looking, to be honest. Not a bad choice of a goalkeeper to try and get in for your team. Apart from that, I also don't mind in terms of defense. If you want to go 4 French defenders just because you think it's going to go to 120 minutes, go for it. They've been defensively strong. Saliba, Koundé, Upamecano, and Theo Hernandez, all 4 are really good shouts. You can go for anyone, doesn't matter. They're all pretty good. I've gone for Koundé and Saliba purely, those 2 mainly, due to ball recoveries and Koundé with a bit more attacking threat. Saliba also with a bit more attacking threat as well. So I've gone for those 2. And then in midfield for France, I mean, apart from N'Golo Kante, there's no one really else that I would want to go for in terms of midfield. Even Kante, he needs to have like a man of the match performance to kind of justify it. Unless he like scores a goal or assist. But I wouldn't go for any French midfielders. And up front, there's only one forward pick that I would go for, and that's Kylian Mbappe. Now, he has struggled this tournament, if I have to say. He has struggled quite a lot, but we know what Mbappe is still capable of. Now, we don't know whether the mask is kind of affecting him or not. We'll have to wait and see. But he's capable of scoring a hat-trick in a World Cup final. Yep, done it. So, big names appear on the big stage. So I've got him in my team as well. But that's for France. And let's move to the English. Now, England up front, Harry Kane. Just because he is still going to be the talisman, did come off at about 109 minutes with the knock he took. He should still be fine against the Dutch, so I don't mind having him in. But 3 forward spots to fill, does he fit into my 3 forward spots? As you can see right now, nope. But I will mention Harry Kane for if you're looking for a forward option. Midfield, this is where I've gone for a couple English players. I've gone for Jude Bellingham and Bukayo Saka, who are the only 2 players, attacking-wise, who seem on form. Kobe Mainoo, obviously, is not getting a full 90 minutes from the looks of it, so I wouldn't really go there, even though he's playing really well. And Declan Rice is maybe a punt left field option that you could go for. Ball recoveries, the occasional chance of an assist or goal potentially. So I don't mind him as a punt as well if anyone is looking. But that's all from England's midfield that I would look at. Defense is where I am also looking at options. So Guehi should come back into the lineup after suspension. I don't see why he won't. I think Konsa will go back to the bench. And I expect Luke Shaw to start. Shaw did really well in his cameo against Switzerland, 42 minutes, 3 ball recoveries. I do think Shaw will start against Netherlands. I think he provides significantly better width compared to Trippier and more attacking threat as well. So I'm going to go for Shaw as that differential punt for England. But if you're looking for another defender, I would probably then look at in goal in terms of Pickford as your goalkeeper choice if you wanted a goalkeeper. Having said all of that, let's move in to the final team, the Dutch, and we'll start with the goalkeeper. Verbruggen is in there for me. purely as a differential option. If he manages to keep some saves, as you can see, they tend to concede a few shots. I don't mind having Verbruggen. If England do go through as well, I'm hoping that Spain do go through. And if I were to pick between Pickford and Simon, I would probably prefer Simon in goal. But I could have Pickford as well, but then that leaves me towards having like 5 English players. And then that kind of upsets the balance in the worst case scenario where then I might not be able to fill a full 11. So kind of have to keep that in mind when making your team, especially on a wild card as well. In defense, for the Dutch, you can go for any 3 of the above mentioned defenders that are here. Van Dijk, still, I do believe there is goal threat potentially. Will play the full 120 if it goes to 120. Most likely might go to 120. Nathan Ake, good as well for ball recoveries. 120 minutes though doesn't seem likely from the looks of it. However, Divrich shown attacking threat as well, so another player maybe to consider. And then finally, I guess you could mention Dumfries. However, if it does go to extra time, will Frimpong come on and take his spot instead? Not really sure, but don't know if I would want to risk that though. That's why. So I'll probably go for more of the like Ake, Divrich, or Van Dijk options if needed. Dumfries is a good option attacking wise if you wanted to go there, but I prefer the other three slightly. Midfield, I think there's only one midfielder, maybe Xavi Simons, but it's no standout option, I would say, for midfield. No real player that like shouts saying, "Oh, I need to get into that midfield 5" compared to like the ones I've also got in my midfield. Xavi Simons may be the only one that I probably might look at, but up front is where it is. I think Cody Gakpo is a really good shout still, on great form this tournament. A left field option would be Memphis Depay if you wanted to go and get Memphis Depay. It's not a bad option as well. Captain as well for the Dutch. So captain, yeah, I think so. So he, and also on penalties, so he should do well. But yeah, that's my best players for the Euro 2024. Let me know what your thoughts are. What are you going? How are you splitting your team? Are you going like 4-4-4-3 in terms of splitting per team, or are you going to favor one team extremely high? How are you splitting it? And do you have a wildcard or do you not have a wildcard? Let me know all in the comments. And who's your captain? Because I'm very interested to know. I'll put it on Danny Olmo if he's going to start. But I'm not against actually even going for Kylian Mbappe. But I probably might favor the Spanish, to be honest. But yeah, let me know who's your captain for match day, like the day 1 and day 2 as well. Until then, thank you all for watching. I will see you all tomorrow for the deadline stream, 1.5 hours before the deadline for the semi-finals. Thank you all for watching. Hit the like button. Actually, I should probably put this button. You reached up to this point, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you all tomorrow. Peace out, everyone.